Well, hello and welcome to Audionautic Deep Space Network, episode 84. This is the Independent Musician's Guide to Production and Promotion. Today, we're demoing the crazy new update for Koala Sampler, which features a mixer and 16 FX. Can it compete with the SP404 and the MPC at a fraction of the cost? We'll find out. Then we'll also talk about the latest in the Songtradr acquisition of Bandcamp. Finally, in the marketing minute, we're going to take a look at why you should make your own website, and especially in this unstable Bandcamp landscape.
This show is brought to you by our patrons who lovingly support us in everything that we do. This show goes live on Wednesdays before going out to streamers on Spotify and Apple Music on Saturday. You can head to patreon.com/audionautic to get involved. You've got bonus content behind the scenes, and you can share your opinions there as well. My name is Curtis, and this week there is the lovely Sunwarper. How you doing, bro? I haven't seen you all fucking week. You good?
Oh man, no, it's crazy here.
Oh, you called me lovely. I'm super. Thanks for asking.
I do love the lovely, yeah.
They're very nice. It is.
Thanks for a warm welcome, dude. It's always nice to be here talking about the things we like.
It is. It very much is. What have you been doing this week, man? What's been going on?
What have I been doing? I've just been goofing around as usual, really. I'm in an experimentation phase at the moment. So, yeah, I put something on Twitter the other day about running things through other things. So, yeah, I've been running MS-20 through Lyra 8 to get all the distortion and delay effects and modulation of that. That was good fun. And on my play tray, I've been running various things through that little Palmer bass amp I've got because it's got distortion and saturation. I mean, you know, when you can't make your mind up, you apply both, really, don't you?
Why not both, right?
So, yeah. Yeah. So a lot of this stuff is bringing out some real singing harmonics and things like that. So it's been kind of interesting, actually, but I'm not planning on using them in a very obvious way. But yeah, been playing around and experimenting. I mean, what could be more fun than that anyway?
It's meant to be playful.
Dealing with a newborn is much more fun. Yeah.
Well, this brings me to my Audionautic co-host, Sunwarper, my brother, who I haven't seen in a long while because at the moment everything's a bit more higgledy-piggledy. Technically on paternity, but still here wonderfully for the show. What's going down, Sunwarper? How you doing?
I love that higgledy-piggledy. I remember who was the first host on that Great British Bake Off? Was it Mary Berry? She'd always say it's higgledy-piggledy. I hope you'd know. I mean, but yeah, I guess you're so detached from Britain at this point. Yeah, it's as a good Brit, right? I think it's Mary Berry. I don't know, but she always says higgledy-piggledy, and so that just gave me a little crack up. I'm all right. I'm gonna be very well in a couple hours when the new piece of gear I bought comes. Actually, it comes tomorrow, I think. So in more than a couple hours, but I got a new piece of gear. It ends intact and starts with Digi.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. There we go. Very nice.
Yeah. So I'm stoked for that. I told Ian, and you, Curtis, in the group chat we have that I got it because Prime Day got me. It was down like $100 or $200, and I was like, well, I've been eyeing it for a while. I think it's time. So that'll be fun. I'm excited to learn that. But yeah, other than that, I mean, I had barely any time to do music stuff. That's the good news about Koala. It comes in handy for that. But before we get into the Koala demo, and I want to hear how you're doing, Curtis, but first, we've got Abby in the chat. They say they're muted in a team meeting. Well, we appreciate you being here. You can always do the one headphone, Audionautic, one headphone meeting, but, maybe the meeting's more important. I don't know why, but, hey. Then we've got Survey Channel. We've also got Bendu. What is going on, guys? We've also got David in the chat. He says, hey, everyone, and that he says the Lyra 8 is an excellent effect box. Yeah, that's awesome. Let us know, everybody in the chat, what you guys have been up to this week. Have you gotten any new gear? Did Prime Day get any of you as well? Because, man, I was trying to hold out till 2024, but it got me. But anyways, Curtis, what's up with you?
It's been insane. I haven't actually spent much time here in the last 7 days or so. I'm running a TEDx event at work in the theater, and so that is a lot.
Did you get the lighting working?
That is a lot. Yeah, no, I got them all working. I got
Yeah.
right. So there was one light left, and you know what? I changed the fuse, didn't work. I changed all the DMX cable, it wasn't working. I was scratching my head. Do you know what I did? I jimmied the power cable, and it came
I
back
was
on.
gonna say, did you try turning it on and off again? You know, just
Yeah.
I turned
the
it off and off,
IT special.
just in the cable a little bit, and then duct taping it to the side. So we're okay.
Hey, that's great. I mean, whatever gets it to work, that's what matters. You know,
Exactly.
if it's
Exactly.
duct tape and strings, hey, who cares? We've also got
Exactly.
Hydro Fighter in the chat. He says, "Hey guys, I am doing the double headphone thing today," and Bendu's got him covered with 2 headphone emojis.
I think the double headphone thing is Hydro Fighters. I feel like he started that.
He did,
I feel
yeah.
like-
I
yeah.
just recommend it to anyone now that says they're in a meeting because of Hydro Fighter. I mean, it seems to work for him. To my knowledge, he hasn't been fired yet for doing it, so I think it works.
We should call it doing the Hydro Fighter. I think.
Yeah, the
I
HF
don't know if
method. Last week
the
we had
HF
all the
method, yeah.
methods of how we do branding, right? There was the Eon Lake method. We've got the HF method, the Hydro Fighter method.
Exactly. I don't know if you had a chance to listen to his new EP yet. It is really, really nice. I get like
No, I've not. I
going in.
need to.
It's beautiful. Like the notion of taking the minimalist approach. I'm the same as Eon Lake in the fact that I'm a maximalist. You know, I'll always go bigger and I'll always go more, and I can't seem to dress it down. Hydro Fighter does so much with so little, and it's just, yeah, it's a beautiful little trip. I do recommend it. It's cool.
Yeah, I got to check
So,
it
yeah.
out.
It goes.
I've been meaning to.
Listen,
Eon Lake,
yeah.
have you given it a listen?
Not yet. No, I haven't had a chance, but I'm going to absolutely spank it because I always do with these releases. You know, it's. I know it's going to be good. I don't need to. I heard the one track on Enclosure 3, and that was brilliant. And I might have sneakily showed me something that introduced me to it. So yes, absolutely.
That's what we need. We have got a jam-packed. Sorry, again, I cut across you there.
I was just saying, highly recommended. My apologies.
Sure. At all. We'd like to know what you guys have been doing, as Sunwarper said. Very much so. Where you've been going, what's been working. I saw Abby teased a little kind of new artwork and new. Yeah. Just
they've been
before
doing some
going
really
live.
cool AI stuff too.
A video.
I keep forgetting the name of that video. Cool. It's like, is it Kyber AI or something?
Yeah, I think it was.
That I want to check
AI.
that. Yeah, I want to check that out for sure because there's something I've been thinking about for next year that I was like, ooh, but they've been doing some really cool stuff with that, and I'm like, ooh, yeah,
it was a bit
very
trippy,
cool.
That was, but very
Up
good.
It, yeah, up it.
Just a bit. Like,
turning into people, turning into cats again.
Yeah,
I mean, I think the AI has never eaten a fungus, but it's very close to actually what happens if you eat a fungus, and it's uncanny. So I wonder, is AI an alien from other space that actually brought shrooms to our place? I don't know. I'm going to stop. Maybe that's for my live stream later. I don't know, but I'll shut up for now.
I think that's getting way too deep. This is the start of the show, man. Bring that up near the end when we're well past all that.
We'll get there. I'll tell you what, in the name of that, should we move across to our first segment? We promised people a demo in Koala, and you have done.
Yes.
You've been balancing a newborn baby boy and being able to do a live demo for us. So should we give that its due course?
Yes, and so I feel a little bad because of said newborn. The original plan was I was going to go live on my channel yesterday and flip a bunch of samples that everyone sent in the Discord. I'm still going to do that, but I have to do that tomorrow. So the plan was flip them on my channel and then do them on here, or show them and show the new effects and things like that on here. Instead, today I'm going to show a song that I've been working on once the new update came out, and just show some of the effects, the bus effects, the routing of the effects and things like that. And then tomorrow I will be flipping those samples over on my channel. But let me share Koala Warper.
Before you do, are those the samples from our Discord?
Say again, Eon Lake?
Samples that you're going to be flipping, are they the ones from our Discord?
Tomorrow, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I've got some really cool ones from Survey Channel. I'm going to stem split those. And then I've got a guitar from Maureen's friend, a cell phone recording of drums from Maureen's friend, which should be interesting. Cool. And then Bendu sent some really trippy modular bass sounds, but I think I can make them into like a shaker. I found some parts that were very rhythmic, and if I use the stretching algorithm on Koala, I think I can turn them into like a percussive shaker. So we'll do some cool stuff. But in the interim, I'm going to show Koala Warper. This is my other computer. And let me full screen this. So just tell me, everyone in the chat and Eon Lake, if you're hearing this.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, perfect. Does it need to be a little louder? Or are you guys hearing it all right?
It's reasonable volume. See what the chat.
I'll raise it a pinch. I'm sending Koala through the SP, and I'm using the SP as an interface on the other computer so that I can still use this interface. So let's talk layout. So when you first open Koala, it's still what it used to be. Here's where all of your samples go. You've got volume and pitch. You've also got mixers on each sound, so you can take out the low end. I have a Bill Evans sample. That's what this song is built around. So you can do, there's only, per pad, there's only a 3 EQ. So you can do notches, and then you can do high and low pass. Also, you can do tone, attack, release, things like that. There's one shot, and then there's that time stretching, which I was talking about with Bendu, which you can set to the BPM that you're working with. But what's new is over on Perform. This is what you usually get, a bunch of like master effects, kind of like the SP404. If you go down here, I think you can see it, this little mixer. You click that. Now you've got 4 bus channels and a master. So you can technically, because of the effects, master. Now, I'm sorry if the quality is a little low. Hopefully you guys can see what's there. But so basically, let me play the sound a little bit. So I have a drum bus, which is, I believe, bus B. I also have the bass going through it. You can also do, they added sidechain, which you can't do on the SP404. So you can sidechain, that's just bass getting sidechained by the drums. So let me solo those drums again, and I'll show you. So now you can compress. My favorite effect is the bit cooker, because we were talking about this last week, but there's a sample rate, bit depth, jitter, and mix. So let me mute it. Hear how much more high end there is to it? Yeah. So when you put that on, I've got it on 8.4 for sample rate and 12 bit depth. But let's just go back up. You go sample rate back to normal. It's a lot more pristine. But if you want to get that old school MPC style and things like that, go with the lower bit rate or sample rate, and then bit depth. I like 16 or 12, but it kind of emulates what was at the SP1200 and things like that, which are in that much lower resolution sound. Then over on bus A, which I believe is my melody stuff, yeah, I've got compressor. The compressor's great. Delay, there's actually 2 types of delay. This is the one that you can sync to the BPM. And I've also got bit cooker, but you can shut that off. A little noisy, but sounds good. And then there's also, what were you saying, Jan Lake?
Good noise. It's the good stuff.
Yeah, good noise. There's also this warble. So let me shut that off. And then let me turn that on, and let's go. Just super extreme. You can just destroy the sound. You guys still get me? I think my internet's slowing down a little bit. Okay. So you can really destroy the sound if you want to go for that. You don't have to go for this destroyed sound. That's just my preferred way of setting all the sounds. So I really like, let me go back to this just really quick. So I really like the fact that it's got a sidechain, because, I mean, I think MPCs have that, especially the new MPCs. Eon, like, you could vouch for that because you've got the live too, I believe. But SP404s, first of all, you only have 2 bus effects plus the more master 3 and 4 effects. But here you can do EQ per pad, which the SP can't do. And then you can do these 4 effects, but you've also got the master effects. But it's got sidechain, which is awesome. So it can really help control the mix. Like, you can take, as we've talked about before, when it comes to mixing bass and drums, you can sidechain the bass to the drums and add a little more headroom. And if you really want that more housey kind of like ducking sound, you can do that too. On the SP, there's some ways to work around it, but you're kind of not able to do it like for real. You can just kind of sort of emulate it with a lot of compression and things like that. I'm going through it quick. Does anybody have any questions about it? Chat, let us know. And Eon Lake Curtis, anything you want me to cover?
So the new features are mainly just the mixer and the effects, right? Which are
so that's a good question.
Things,
that's a good question, Eon Lake, because there's now basically 3 tiers of Koala. There's the base Koala, which I believe is $5. There's the Samurai update, which is another $5, and then there's this new mixer update, which is another $5. So technically, to get this full thing, the Samurai adds the stem splitting, a piano roll, which I think Survey Channel had mentioned having some issues with, but that adds this piano roll right here, and then the mixer too. The not mixer, but the per track EQ, I believe, is with Samurai. But what this new one adds is all of these effects and this mixer. So all of these effects are not available if you have either the base Koala or the Samurai Koala. You have to get this new one. And I should go over all the ones they have, because there's some really cool ones. They've got Auto Pan, Bandpass, Bit Cooker, which is my favorite. I love Bit Cooker for that like gritty, dark sound. It's awesome. Let me go back to this one so I can show these effects. We've got the compressor. The compressor's great. Delay, drive. The drive gets pretty nasty. We'll go over that. EQ, filter, which has a good resonance to it. Flanger, free verb. That's the one to me that's a little weak. The free verb. It's probably my like least favorite reverb, but it's there. It's nice on a drum bus because you can kind of get a little room reverb to it. High cut, limiter, low cut, meter, mic, phaser, pitch shift, sidechain, tape delay. That's the other delay. Utility and warble. The warble's really fun. That's the one I showed that gets that like vinyl sound. Now let's check out this drive. I have it on the master. Let me just put the mix all the way up and put that to 0. Let me play this again. Oh, I gotta shut that warble down a bit. We don't need it that destroyed. Okay, so this drive, check this out. I mean, it's just nasty. But if you put the mix down, you can get it just kind of as a parallel distortion, which is nice to have if you want to grit up everything. Let's go back to some drums. Yeah, so, let me show the filter too, actually. Like I said, nice resonance. And then if you just tap things, they go back to bass. It's a nice way if you're moving quick, like in a live performance or jamming, just tap them and they go right back to their original sound. There's also an LFO on the filter, and you can change low pass, high pass, talk box, and wobble. So there's a lot there. Anything else? Any other questions? I stopped after Eon Lakes to go through that. Curtis, you got anything you want to ask?
Yeah, as someone who uses Koala and has used Koala since you found it, and it's been a while now, what have you found the biggest change, or if there has been any change to your workflow and kind of like the quality of your tracks since this new update?
A lot. So I think first, the first big change was when they added that EQ per pad. That was huge, because now if you have samples that have a lot of low end that you don't need, you could just cut it off. Or if you're doing bass and you want to just cut off the high end, that was great. And then adding these bus effects has changed things drastically, because now it can be more like how I work in the DAW, where I can have a drum bus and I can compress the drums. I can limit the drums. I can add all of these parallel sounds and things like that. Then for melodic sounds, I can have a bus of that where I have reverb and things like that. I can have the bass sidechained, which, like I said, on my MPC beats, I can't do that. Not MPC, SP beats, I can't do that. On Koala, I used to not be able to, and now I can. So it's a nice way to add headroom and get things to sound a little more pleasant in the mix. And I got to say, with the sounds of these plugins, I think it's possible to master within Koala. If you just want to do like a simple master of, like I have here, I have EQ, compressor, free verb, and limiter. And the free verb on the master is just 0.36%. You guys know on masters, I like to have a very small amount of reverb just to add a little live room sound to the thing. And it's so trace. You typically, you don't hear it, but it's just there psychoacoustically.
Psychoacoustic effect, isn't it?
You just took the words out of my mouth, my friend. Exactly. So I'll show you the settings I have. All I did on this one, because it's very muddy, was I added, let me start playing it again so you can hear it. I added some high boost. I could take out some mud over here, maybe up the bass if I really want to go for that like lo-fi sound. And then the compressor, drop it a little bit more. and I just have it a low ratio, long attack, long release. You can also do makeup gain if you want. I did not because I have reverb. Let me just show you. Here's the reverb all the way up. Sounds terrible, right? But you just have it really tiny. Just psychoacoustically, it makes it sound a little more gelled, a little more real. And you can move that up or down if you wanted to. You can put it before the EQ, anything like that. And then I just have a limiter doing a little bit up and bring it up a little bit. So that's my little master chain for Koala, but let's just bypass them all so you can hear the difference. I don't know if there's a way to bypass and select all of them at once, so I apologize. I have to do this the slow way, but this is what it sounds like without any master effects. I'll add the EQ, brings up the high end a little bit, bring that compressor. Everything's kind of vibing a little bit more. Reverb, and then limiter brings up the volume at the end. And since I'm not using the bottom one, if I were to move these up, I could actually add the meter, and I could see. I'll just put it at the front so you can see it. If you want to throw something out, drag it to the trash can, and then go to meter, so you can actually see spectrum, scope, and out of it, and the EU, yeah. And that's before all of the master effects. So if I put it at the bottom, I think I can move them. No, you can't switch them like that thing, but you'd really be able to see like what levels are you hitting, how's the frequencies of the total things, do some more EQ. So for me personally, I think if you're just going for simple masters, or if you don't have any other alternative, you could use a chain like this. Let me zoom back in, I'm sorry. So this is my chain here. You can see EQ, compressor, reverb, limiter. That's a solid mastering chain just to kind of get a little bit. And you just really need to play with the effects and things like that. But yeah, Curtis, to get back to your question, having these buses drastically changes how I approach production on this, because it can be so much more nuanced than what it used to be, because you have per pad EQ, so you can get really gritty in there, and then you can do all these effects where you gel things together. I love the drum bus. Drum bus is like my secret weapon in my productions, and having it now again on this is awesome.
So you've just sent out a completely doorless little EP, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Do you think? Yeah, sounds fun. Do you think you do something that was just Koala?
I've been having this idea. I probably shouldn't say this, but an idea for 2024
It's your
to
show.
kind of
You can say what you want.
connect my. Well, no, I didn't want to announce it already, but an idea I'm thinking about is for 2024 to kind of connect my releases with my YouTube, because that's one thing I feel are kind of still separate or disparate or something, like my YouTube and my music like output. I was thinking of doing something where live stream song, like one song maybe per month, and then at some point in the year, like release an album of just DAW stuff. Because like I said, I've got the Digitact coming, the SP, and then Koala, even the Pocket Operator. You can do a lot with that little thing. But yeah, I don't know if I'd do all Koala, but I mean, one of my favorite setups is Koala into SP, and then you kind of use them together. I mean, technically, I am doing that right now. Like, I have the SP off camera. I'm just not using it for anything but an interface. But I love let me just explain it, because we've talked about it before. Let me go back to this. So with Koala again now, when you go, you can really see a sample. So it's so easy to chop samples on here because you have your fingers. It's at the tip of your fingers, literally. Whereas with the SP, you have to twist knobs and it get kind of refined and things like that. But here you can zoom by pinching out, and then you can just select a sound right there. You can add some attack, add some release, changes the tone. You could time stretch it. I don't want that to be 16 bars, but we could do, let's say, 2 bars. And there's a few different algorithms for it. So that stretches it to the BPM I chose, which is 151. And there's some other tools, auto chop, which I don't know if that would even work, but chat, let me know. Do you guys want to see me use some auto chop really quick, or stem separation? Because this can do stem separation. I have this sample. I think, like I said, it's a Bill Evans sample, but yeah, you can just move all these things really quickly and then you could throw those samples now with some effects into the SP and then sequence in the SP, or you could sequence with this piano roll and record right into there. So it's a great standalone now, but together I love the two. They just work really well together, and I'm curious to see how it's going to work with the Digitact, but we'll get back to that. But chat again, like I said, let me know if you want to see auto chop, which chops things into however many chops you want it to do. And this one's pretty powerful. I think it can do, yeah, look, you can go up to 72 chops by transient, or you can do equal chops up to 16, or lazy, which I'd never used the lazy, but the 16 chops is pretty fun. But there's also, like I said, stem separation, split stems, and it will chop. There's a lot of what's it called? Issues when you stem split. There's a lot of I'm totally blanking on the word. What's it called? Artifacts. There we go. Thank you, Eon. Like, that's my newborn sleep deprived brain.
Yep.
But you got me. You got me covered. You got my back. Yeah. I find the stem splitting compared to something like RipX, which we covered, or even Serato Studio, it's not as good, but it is there and it can work. I'll show when I split Survey Channel's stems, that he sent me a bit that has like drums and synth. I'll be stem splitting that. But like I said, chat, I think this sample has some sound. So if you want me to stem split it, let me know. Before we go over there, I just want to go through some of the chat. David says, sounds inspiring. FCC says, gonna have to use Koala more. Sounds great now. I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
Fringes of Sound says, I need an iPad. Definitely. I think Koala's on Android though as well.
It is, yeah.
Right? Yeah. And
Yeah, I put it on my
Curtis
Android
is
phone.
in the chat. He says, I feel that, Lars. David says, iPads are so powerful now, even the 9th generation ones. This is a iPad Pro from, I think, 2017 or something, and it still runs this like a champ. Oh, that's the other thing too. I don't know if you can see it, but let me just zoom in really quick. Right above bus A, there's actually a CPU usage.
Oh yeah.
I know it's a little grainy. I'm having a little internet issue today, it looks like, but it is there. So if you're using, I mean, this is a lot of plugins or effects, and it's only at 19%. Let's see when we start playing it. 26%. It's bouncing between 20 and 26%. So even with 3 buses fully used and the main one, well, 4 almost fully used, it's still only at like 20%. A couple bits more in the chat. FCC says, I have one, but it's about 7 years old. Not sure Koala will work. Might have to give it a try. Check it out, because like I said, mine's from 2017, so it's not, I don't think it's that old. I don't know years anymore, man. I can't count it. But yeah, and so we've got that. And finally, let's see. David says, 9th gens are really reasonable now. Fringes says, I like the chopping function. Feels similar to Machine, but more focused and simplified. Yeah, I mean, all of these samplers have this type of stuff. They have the auto chop. SP has auto chop, and it's great. MPC definitely has auto chop. But real quick, I'll just show the auto chop. Let me, I've got this section frozen. So we'll just do, let me see if I have any. Yeah, so here's an empty pad of it. So we'll just do auto chop. And let's go. You can actually, so I have it on equal auto chop, 16 chops, and you can actually hear them and move them around a little bit. So I want that one to be there, let's say, this one here. And so you can clean it up. And then when you're good, you can set it to a choke group so that when you hit the next one, it will choke. We'll do that. We'll put it to 1. And then let's hit chop, and it should be right. There it is. So it just goes to the first empty one. So it actually starts way up here. And then even then, you can still maneuver the thing around from where you originally chopped it. So there's a lot of ways you can clean it up. But with the choke, you can see it just stops playing the previous one. And if you go, let's say, let's repitch. Let's go 3. Whoop. So yeah, the auto chop is a lot of fun. You can just chop it yourself. If you just want to chop things separately on your own, just move it over here and you can just repitch. You can change where it is. You can do all of that really easy. But yeah, if you guys want to see stem splitting, let me know. It's a lot of fun. Anything else? I think that about covers it. But if anybody has questions, let us know.
it's gonna be interesting to see. I used a Flip, and from what I can see from there, the ability to take the stems. So I think on Flip you're limited to 8, 369, 9 samples in the whole thing. But it looks like you can do a lot more with it after this big update. So you'll be tuning into your live stream tomorrow and see what you can do with it. That kind of thing. That'll be fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. I've got the samples are really cool. There's like a tapping guitar from Maureen's friend. The drums are gonna be interesting because it's a phone recording, so it's gonna be muddy. But I want to see with the EQ and things like that if I can clean it up. And oh yeah, the other thing I think I'm gonna do because Survey Channel Stem has some drums. Once I split it, and then Maureen's friend has some drums, so I think I'm gonna combine the two because you can do that. You can take. Let me see where I've got some drums here. Is that? Oh, I gotta add. Okay, so we've got a kick here. Let's do this. So I've got kick. I'm gonna just move it here, and then I've got where is it? Let me do this full screen actually. A hi-hat, and we'll put that over here. So on the hi-hat, I'm just gonna take out all of this low end, and then the kick I've already taken out some. Now, if you just combine them, you can say mix, add to end, or swap. Let's mix. So now it's got the hi-hat and the kick together.
That's cool.
So that's what I'm thinking of doing with the drums. I'm gonna take the kick and the two different kicks and put them together. That's my thinking because I think if there's a lot of mud on that phone recording, I can kind of shape it around the other kick. So yeah, should be interesting. Yeah. Ian, like any thoughts before we move on? Oh, Curtis, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was literally going to say things. Is there any
Oh,
more
there we
things
go.
from
Yeah,
you?
yin and yang, man. Yin and yang. Yeah, like you are muted, just as a heads up.
Sorry,
There
I
we
was
go.
coughing. Yeah. For me, the problem with the iPad has always been sound. So there are some really good plugins. I'm thinking of the Moog ones and some
Yeah,
other
the
stuff
model.
that make really good sound. But as far as actually working in the iPad, it just never has really worked for me because everything just sounds too out of the packet, and I can't destroy sounds or crunch things the way that I normally would in order to get the kind of tonality that I want to work with. And this, for me, completely addresses all of that. You know, it lets you destroy stuff, rough things up a bit, and the sampling aspect, obviously, you know, you can resample, you can degrade, you can do all the things that you need to do so that what you're creating is actually close enough to the sound that it inspires you enough to do it. So this is a game changer for me. You know, the effects that they include in things like this, there are always those reverbs that you talk about that are, you know, really bright sort of reverbs that
It's not even that it's bright. Not to cut you off, but it's there's not much option to it. There's size, tone, dry, wet, and you can't choose, you know, room, plate, Valhalla, you know, anything like that.
Well,
there's nothing there.
Like, they usually don't go long enough. I mean, I'm often using 40, 50-second reverbs, you know, when
There's no gate either. There's no gate. That's the other thing. But I do want to add, because you bring up a good point about the limitations. Koala did put up a Google form, like a submission that you can say, hey, you should add this effect, or you should try this effect. Like, they're open to receiving effects recommendations, and it sounds like they're going to try to implement them. So I noticed that. I'll see if I can find that form. They posted it on Twitter, so I'll try to find it. I didn't add it to the docket, unfortunately, but they did post that. So they're open to recommendations. So I may not like this reverb. I think it has some uses, but it sounds like if enough people, put in the recommendation, I'm going after this to recommend
I like what they've chosen. I think they've chosen the right stuff. And I think really, if I know what kind of reverb I need, that's the sort of thing. I'd probably be finishing it off in the door anyway. Using
that's another really good point. Let me just show you guys something really cool that I love about Koala. Man, is my screen just like completely digitized because it looks like it on mine?
Blurred.
So if you go, I hope you guys can read it. If you go down, there's a few options: do, load, save as, record song. So you could just record like your playthrough, but there's also resample loop. So now you could take a full bus sound and resample it. But what I want to go to is export. You can export a current sample, all samples, current sequence, all sequences, So you could move just the sequences as they are to Ableton, a DAW, anything like that. You can also share the Koala song. That's what I did. I made this song on my phone and just shared it to my iPad, and it's all right there as I made it. But there's Ableton Drum Rack, Ableton Live Set, so you can just send it to Ableton. I don't use Ableton, so
integration,
but I have been. You guys are wearing me down, like Prime Day. You're wearing me down to consider Ableton at some point for live performance, never for production. I say that now, I might change, but I did just want to say, and I think when you do like all sequences, you can do mix, so the sequence as it is, or you could have it export as a stem, so you could have the individual, all the different sounds. So like each pad will be exported as a stem that you're using. So there's a ton you can do. Make it in here, throw it in the SP like that, or throw it in your DAW. It doesn't have to be Koala alone. It's so easy to move it around, and I think that's really awesome. I wanted to bring that up. You were talking about, Ian, like how you wouldn't finish in there. I mean, all these effects are great, but
brilliant.
The export options, there's so many types, and it's awesome. And I've done that before, where I've exported as stems or as the mixed, and like I took the mixed sections for a live set and just had one on each pad, like each sequence was on a pad of the SP, and I just play between it for the live set. But you could do the stems, you can move it to Ableton, to Logic, anything like that. I love this. Fringes of Sound said, all those synths in the background and Sunwarper's heart has been stolen by a $10 app. It's 15, bro. I'm kidding. Hey, I mean, look, I love all these synths, and the great thing is you can sample all of those into Koala. I mean, I still think I prefer the SP, but like I said, I think one of my favorite combos is those two together. And with all these export options and stuff, it's great if you're just working with a computer too. But
it's only because he can't carry all those synths around with him everywhere. See,
that's the thing. See, I can carry my phone. I make all, like this song I'm showing on the iPad, I made on my phone. And then the only reason I moved it to the iPad was so I could show it here on a bigger screen, and because my phone is actually the camera for this Koala Warper. But yeah, so I mean, it's just like, and you could record sounds. I think there's a way to split the screen, at least on iPad, maybe with the newer ones, and play a synth into Koala. I've seen some YouTube videos that look like they could do that. So like if you have the Moog Model D, which is awesome, you could just play that right in and then, make stuff in Koala with all those effects and stuff. I'm like you, Eon Lake. I've never gotten on with GarageBand or any of those apps where you make music, but Koala just clicks for me. I think it's that sample-based nature where everything's just, you move things around. It's tactile despite being a screen, and it just works.
It's immediate.
Yeah.
Monkey see, monkey do. We'd be curious if anyone. Exactly. Yeah. We'll see if anyone has been converted. If you are interested in this, if you're trying it out, like FCC is, for example, be curious to see what you end up making with it. Head over to our Discord. We can have a gander. People love showing the work in progresses there, so it's always nice to see what you guys are up to.
Yeah, and I've actually got all the samples I'm flipping tomorrow on my live stream are from our awesome patrons and our Discord users. So I'll be flipping all of those. I'm trying to work all of them in. That's the plan. Benders is going to be tough. Not that it's bad by any means. It's awesome, but it's trippy. But I think we're going to do something even trippier with it. That's the plan. So we'll see.
Sounds like fun. So yeah, that's the Koala sampler. Should we find out what's going on in the world of Bandcamp and Songtradr? See what everyone.
Yeah, let me just give one last clause. If anybody has any questions for Koala, I'm only going to keep the camera running for Koala Warper for a few more minutes while we transition over. So if you have any questions, get it in now. Otherwise, ask me on my live stream. I'm just at Sunwarper on YouTube. I'll be going live at this time, 11 a.m. tomorrow. But I'll be probably in about 5 minutes. I'm going to end the camera so I can have my phone back for the docket. But
excellent. Last week on the show we were chatting out and about when it comes to the big announcement by Bandcamp, and we kind of left with the notion that we didn't really know what was going down. There's been no real development other than the purchases going through in the process. But the Discord and the news and the interwebs has been alive with the sound of Songtradr. And it's been
oh, I love that.
Just completely off the cuff. But yeah, so there have been some updates Let's get into it, shall we? We can't get the actual thing this week because it's Billboard
Paywall.
and it's behind a paywall. But the lovely people over at Reddit have helped us out a bunch with saying what it's all about. So basically, in the week, Songtradra's CEO Paul Wiltshire reassured that there were no plans to change Bandcamp's existing model, emphasizing that it's already a great platform, which is fair enough. The whole point of it is, like we discussed last week, this idea of bringing licensing opportunities to us, the independent musician, where not only can we put our songs and tracks and EPs and lovely goodness out for purchase, but we can also get licenses for TV applications and things like that. So emphasizing particularly the idea of games, fitness apps, and meditation apps, which is a really lucrative market if you think about it. As Bandcamp was seen at the largest independent musical community, it wants to connect independent musicians to that idea. That's their idea, and they want to retain control. We want us to retain, control over our rights. They said that Songtradr is committed to allowing Bandcamp artists to make choices about where their music goes, recognizing that licensing can be complex, and the intention is there to support us. The whole idea basically is to give the value directly to us, the music licensing benefits to us, and allow us as independent musicians to have control over where our music goes. That's the theory, and that's what's been coming out. So let's discuss that before we get into the more controversial stuff. This is basically what we were thinking about last week. The idea of that's what Bandcamp is missing, the idea of sync licensing and neighboring rights, etc. And they seem to have confirmed that.
It would seem so, wouldn't it? Yeah.
I mean, so they say. Are they going to stick with it? I don't know. And I mean, they're still saying their big thing is to work towards licensing. And I still think that's a drastic change to the whole identity of Bandcamp, because Bandcamp is kind of all about the independent. You don't have to deal with pros. You don't have to deal with licensing. You don't have to deal with copyright. I mean, they've been getting a little stricter since Epic bought them with copyright things. And I'm not saying necessarily that you shouldn't work with these copyright things and stuff like that, but I mean, I think it changes the landscape of Bandcamp, and it might change how it works in terms of pricing. I know there's a pro feature you can pay monthly and things like that, but it's just going to be interesting to see how it's all going to go down. And I mean, I'm wondering, maybe we've learned our lesson. When Epic bought them, we were like, this could be really good, this could be really bad, it could be like all of this cool stuff, it could be all this horrible stuff, and then basically nothing changed, but they added Apple CarPlay or something. So it could be something similar to that. The way they're talking with a lot of this PR speak and stuff like that, and giving some notions of what they intend with it, it worries me a little bit.
Yeah, I think so too. I think so. I mean, I'm also inclined to think it is early days still. I expect there's this transition between the ideas, and the reasons behind them doing the acquisition in the first place, and then there's maybe the day-to-day reality of owning it and owning all the issues and everything surrounding it, and maybe changing your opinion about what you want to do as a result of actually, having your legs under the table. So, for that reason, I think it's probably still a little bit early. I'm still divided on it. I think it could be good, but it's not really adding anything that I desperately wanted. And it may be taking away things that I was happy with, which I guess we'll be moving on to soon. So, I mean, what's this bringing to me? Not much, really, just some uncertainty in the short term, and who knows what in the medium term. But I'm lucky, I'm just a punter.
Curtis, what's your take?
I am slightly more optimistic, I think. I mean, I know Shock Horror, the hippie, that is slightly more optimistic about a big corporate takeover by an independent. But the one thing I've come to learn in the past couple of years is that I wish I knew about sync licensing when I was very at the start. because it can be quite lucrative, and it can be quite. It can open a few doors for you, and at the very least, if they're saying, let's assume. Let's have the good and faith in Wiltshire and say, let's assume that what he's saying is what he wants to actually put through, and that's what he's going to implement. It's going to bring, at the very least, it's going to bring around this idea of awareness, and it's going to bring around this idea that not everything is about Spotify, not everything is about streams, not everything is about how many hits you get on a YouTube video. You know, you can be a nobody and have a great ambient banger that's playing on a Marks and Spencer's advert, and suddenly, you know, you've got a paycheck for rent for the month. Marks and Spencer's, for anyone who's not in the UK, is a upscale supermarket / clothing store. And what I suppose I'm saying is that bringing that awareness at the very least. Now, there's loads of companies, and we talked about this last week. There's loads of companies that do sync licensing and neighboring rights and all that stuff. So you don't necessarily have to go with Songtradr. But again, I'm thinking about the 13, 14-year-old who's making their first beats and putting their stuff out there. It's like, this is something that you can do. This is something that exists. Not everything's a vanity project. Not everything's about TikTok and likes and viral videos and stuff like that. There are other ways, somewhat more, should we say, highbrow ways in which to kind of, inverted commas, to kind of make money from your music and be an independent musician without necessarily having to resort to trends on TikTok, for example, which I can only see as a good thing.
Though most music that is picked for sync is trendy. And I think that's one issue that will come up with independent musicians and things like that. Not always. I know that's your counterpoint. But having said that, if you listen to a lot of commercials and things like that, there's usually a specific chord progression that's going on. The arrangements are very similar. I mean, if you make some crazy IDM that's like bleeps and bloops and all kinds of chaotic drums and things like that, and then Bandcamp now takes away the revenue share or makes the revenue share worse or something like that. I mean, if it's a total opt-in and nothing changes, that's awesome. Yeah, you're totally right. But if they start changing the core of Bandcamp to achieve these things, I think it does have an issue for the more left of center or left field, I should say, sounds and things like that. And I agree with David here. Hopefully baby steps. He says, I want baby steps from Songtradr. Yeah, I think if they roll... I'm not opposed to the licensing idea. It's awesome. And I totally agree with you, Curtis, that it gives us opportunity even for artists like us to hope, potentially get in things. I'm just thinking like a lot of Bandcamp, like I was saying, is more independent, not necessarily obscure, but experimental and stuff like that. And it's like, are these artists going to kind of get screwed in the process, or will it still work for them? And then there's just this added bonus and things like that. Like Spotify, it's a lot of artists try to achieve like, oh, I want to be on this playlist, so I'm going to do this sound. Is it going to become that on Bandcamp now, which is this more haven of like independent music and things like that? I don't know. It's just thoughts, food for thought, I guess.
It's fair. It's a fair point. I wonder if that its own right, whether that be a drive from Songtradr itself, or the notion that would that be a drive for Songtradr itself, or would that be a drive for the market? Again, the separation of what makes your money and what makes your artistic.
Well, it's just Bandcamp exists for that. Like it's a place where anyone can put their music up, right? And can whatever type of music you make, you may find this following, and they have all these things like you can message them, you could get on Bandcamp New and Notable, Bandcamp Daily, and things like that. So it's like, I mean, things change. That's the inevitability of life. But it's nice as this kind of haven for that kind of, you don't have to fit the mold of a certain Spotify playlist to get seen and heard and things like that on Bandcamp.
Sure.
And I think that's just why, like we'll be talking about later, we have a little bit before them, but why it's good to also have a home base that's yours and you own, and you can drive people to that with a website or something. But to counter that though, too, before we go into some other things Songtradr may be changing, David says, I have a decent follower count that's important to keep. Yeah. I mean, the one good thing is you still have the community tab, or whatever you want to call it, community on Bandcamp, that if you make a website or a mailing list, you can start kind of guiding them to it. Now, it's not going to be a one-to-one conversion, but there's that option too.
It is. Yeah. It's interesting. It's interesting. You talk about new and notable and the community and messaging them directly, because our second piece of news from
There was a
Bandcamp is
reason I queued you up.
it's almost like we know what each other are thinking. It's almost like we've been doing this for a while. Because Notion, if you share my screen as well, from our second Notion.
Oh yeah, let me add it. Sorry, give me a moment.
There you go. Oh, that was me.
There we go.
There you go. There has been somewhat this notion of not troubles in paradise. I think it's the wrong idiom to say, but there's definitely been
broken E string.
Been a bit broken E string, yeah. It's basically Songtradr has bought the website, but not necessarily the employees. On September the 27th, Epic Games held a meeting announcing layoffs of 830 people, which is 16% of the workforce, and the sale. Right, we know this. And the lack of guidance from Epic or Songtradr has received. They couldn't get into their own platform for a little while, for example. But now the Bandcamp union is calling for Songtradr to offer jobs to all existing employees, recognize the union, and continue negotiations initiated with Epic, seeking support from musicians and fans to preserve Bandcamp's artist-friendly ethos and its committed workforce. Essentially, in short, Songtradr in a Zoom call announced that they were buying the website. They weren't necessarily buying the employees, and therefore there is going to be some restructuring. There is going to be some jobs lost, which is problematic, especially when it comes to the notion of, like you say, new and notable community feedback, getting support, that kind of thing. Who are they going to replace them with? Are they going to be as friendly? Are they going to be as reachable? Are we going to be suddenly met with an AI bot help chat saying, hey, how can I help you today? These are all questions which kind of come through and does lead us to a little bit of questioning, where is this going? I'll stop there because I'll talk too much. Yeah. What are your thoughts, gentlemen? Sunwarper?
There's also a lot going on. Bandcamp, I believe, under Epic had started a union, and they have a Twitter. I'll post it in the chat. Bandcamp United, and they've been talking that they were talking with Epic, but now they're trying to talk with Songtradr, and it's changing very quickly. They're still bargaining with Epic. Just going off of a tweet they posted 22 hours ago, said bargaining update. Bandcamp United is back at the table today with Epic Games management regarding layoffs affects bargaining. But it sounds like they've been urging people. I think there's a petition or something like that or email Songtradr so that they're recognized by Songtradr as well. Ian, like, if you know more about that, feel free to chime in. But their Twitter is in the chat, and I'll put it in the description if you want to follow. But yeah, what do you think, Ian? Like,
well, there's the whole well, we're not going to change anything. We're going to keep it all the same, except we're going to change the workforce.
Yeah, and a coder couldn't get in to change a minor bug, like a bug.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand maybe, a slight change of size as part of a sale, but I would have expected like a 6-month consultation before, large scale layoffs were announced, about how they would integrate two businesses and, what talent they need, what talent they already have, and all the rest of it, and do their due diligence. It seems a little odd to be, talking about getting rid of everyone up front, but I don't find any of that encouraging. I'll be honest. I'm not quite as bouncy as I was last week. I mean, there is still a part of me that thinks that if they mess this up, somebody will come along and replace it the way it needs to be done, and there will be an outlet of this kind. I mean, God knows there's a demand for it. All right. I mean, they made some money and they got important enough to get bought out by big business. So, we can move, Musk's done the same thing to Twitter. It's times change, and we of all people know that, and our tools and our approaches have changed a lot over the years and will continue to evolve. And maybe this is part of that, maybe it isn't. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But excuse me, I'm not particularly comforted by any of this. I never liked the sound of lots of people losing their jobs because someone else wants to make more money or something. It just, it doesn't sit well with me. It's not necessarily bringing anything I need. I'd have been happier if they left it alone, to be fair. But that's just me.
I like that. Sunwarper, do you share what Ian Lake has to say?
Yeah, I mean, I'm with Ian like 100%. I think it's just a matter of wait and see.
Well, there we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
What about
Well,
you, Curtis?
Again, I think sometimes whenever you take over a business, there's always going to be layoffs, and there's always going to be layoffs, and there's always going to be a bit of restructuring. Whether or not that translates into a complete drift away from what Bandcamp stands for is another thing. It's obviously concerning, but yeah, you have to kind of see where we can kind of sit with that. I mean, I'll quite happily sit here in a couple of months' time when we're all making our own websites and none of us use Bandcamp anymore, and I'll eat it. I'll eat my words, and But again, in the way of habeas corpus, innocent till proven guilty in that regard.
Yeah.
And it might be. I know. Oh, well, it might be a breath just to take Bandcamp to that next level, where we've all been talking about Bandcamp for years, talking about how it could, in theory, compete, and it could be the true independent streaming service and stuff like that. Maybe this is the injection it kind of needs.
Maybe.
But again, I'll quite happily eat my words. I'd rather be optimistic and be disappointed than the other way around. So
I think the only issue with being like optimistic, I don't know how to phrase this, but like being optimistic and being disappointed is if Bandcamp goes down, you lose that connection to however many followers you have that may not follow you on other platforms, and like trying to get them to move, even if you're able to do it before Bandcamp, let's say theoretically, like shuts down or loses its large user base or something. It's like not everybody's going to convert to whatever other option you're using, and I mean that's just that's
So-
like the doom and gloom, but I mean it's just the thing that's kind of the like what's holding me back from being like, yeah, maybe this is going to be awesome, like they want to do sync licensing, they want to do this. I mean, but like I said, nothing's constant, and like we were talking in the Discord, we were like MySpace is going to come back and take the place of Bandcamp. That's Hydro Fighter says MySpace may have a chance to redeem themselves. And then David says, yeah, competition seems inevitable to some degree. I mean, that's one thing, though. I do hope we see some competitors rise to the Bandcamp place, like the place of Bandcamp, to try to compete with that, because competition is never a bad thing. And like Bandcamp has been largely complacent. It's in a good spot, so there was reason to be complacent. But if you can add other things and other cool ways, or maybe more video aspects, or update a user interface that just like stays very similar but looks a little better or something, I don't know, but like having competition may push all these different competitors to keep updating and adding new things in the way that you're talking about, Curtis.
Maybe, but I think really to try and counteract the negative aspects of this, I think what this is really saying to me is that your identity and your presence needs to be spread across as many platforms as possible. You need to draw them together into one place, so that if any one of these tools that we use dies, people are already aware of where else they could find us. They may not casually or seek us out on those platforms whilst their platform of choice is still active or whatever. But if for the sake of argument, it gets completely swamped by right-wing nutters, they don't want to go on it anymore. They've already seen your link tree. They know that you're on YouTube. They haven't gone there before, but if they want to find you, they already know where you are. So maintain a presence, diversify.
Or even better is have something you fully control. A spot that you completely control, like a website, like maybe curtis.com.
Yeah.
What a hell of a segue, gentlemen. Yeah. This is what kind of we scurry into our marketing minute / round robin, however you want to call it this week. In the name of this and all this uncertainty, Sunwarper brought this to the table, this notion of having a place that is yours, that you control, and that you can cultivate a narrative of your choosing, that as long as you pay the subscription fee every year, you'll always have it there. And so we kind of wanted to have a look at this. Now, we wanted to have a look at websites, and we wanted to have a look at the way in which you can create your own landing page and the best ways and best practices to do that. Because let's face it, Bandcamp could go down tomorrow. And this, in similar vein to David, I've got a lot of followers on there. I'd be emailing them straight up saying, hey, don't forget I've got a website. Most of them know I've got a website, but it's the way to go forward. Sunwarper has gone one step further. You can't currently buy any of my stuff from my website, and that's just because I can't justify the upfront cost for it right now. But Sunwarper evidently can. So we're gonna have a look at his website in a little while.
Just really quickly, Eon like teed me up perfectly for that segue, and it looks like David did recognize that segue. But Tish website, bam! I do also want to say, David, you said it also says to keep one brand name consistent. Are you talking Bandcamp wise, or like your artistry, like keeping your name consistent so that it's always going back to you? Just let us know. But carry on, Curtis.
Well, yeah. So I wanted to kind of go through this. So like I wanted to have the benefits of having your own website, as we've already said. It's not reliant on an external body that could be go bust, be bought out. It's comprehensive, and it's your message. It's not influence. If you, for example, you see the fonting, for example, is the same fonting that I'm currently using for my personal brand, and that is consistent through. If you go across to let's go across to my music production, for example, and you can have a look at my production music. Everything I've got there is in the same fonting and the same way of doing it. If you go across to my video production website, Sign, for example, you can see my credits for film, and it's in the same fonting. This is the universe of Curtis, and you can see everything that I do, be it visual art, music art, or sound capture, working on films, for example. It's all there, and it's mine, and it's my little place. And I really wanted to hammer home this notion of this. It's this idea that is something that is yours, as long as I pay the €200 or whatever it is for the domain name each year. This is mine. Now, one thing that is worth having a look at as well, if we go across to sunwarper.com/blank.
Yeah, I have to fix the names. But
that's small details. We'll come to that in a minute.
Go to the homepage first. Let's go to the homepage first. You can kind of control. And so I made this quick just so I had kind of everything, but I have like my music front and center. And then you can kind of see the difference between Curtis's is more of like a resume, I'd almost say, for like getting picked up in media and things like that. Mine is much more of an artist website, like for keeping artists. I have a blog, which you'll see in a moment. But so the front is my big project for the moment, which is this Music for Imagined Landscapes. You can buy the album. I have it cheaper than on Bandcamp because I get more percentage. And then I've got email list at the bottom, my YouTube page, which is basically my bread and butter at the moment, and then a quick about section, and then the production blog, which the production blog basically ties back into the YouTube. So it's kind of like this synchronicity tying it all together. I have sample packs, which if you just click it, it goes to my Bandcamp page. So I'm going to have to change that soon, most likely. My mastering services, which shows some things. I have a video on there. I have a merch page, a bio page, and then I do have a commission section that's like Curtis's section. It's much more bare bones because that's not my big push at the moment, but just it has some of the things that I've worked on and things like that. But yeah, I do have to fix the URLs are all jacked up. But again, that's not my YouTube's my big thing right now. So that's just kind of there that it's, and the blog on my page is the biggest part that gets the most traffic. And then in the blog, I have links to affiliate links and my YouTube and all that type of stuff. So yeah, mine's much more kind of like trying to create a hub for all of my different aspects of Sunwarper, the artist.
Well, I think that brings into an interesting point, because I think if you're going to start making some form of page for yourself, you need to think about kind of the different hats in which we wear, putting them down in a physical notion. Same way that you've got your blog, your commission, you've got, graphic design, you've got video production, sound design, that kind of thing. And contact is a big one as well, direct contact.
Yeah, and I have on every page like a contact and mailing list, or most pages.
Yeah,
I don't think it's on the blog because it's the blog, but if you go to like each one, there's either like sign up for a mailing list, which I still have to finish setting up. But then there's also like on the mastering services page, it has a contact and things like that. And the commission works has a contact page and stuff like that. Again, mine's kind of still bare bones because I'm like still tweaking it. I did it like right before the baby and stuff. But I mean, I'm fine with it as it is. It's really just there to drive, to be like a hub. You drive people to the YouTube, you drive people to the mastering services. There's the bio, there's commission works. There's the mailing list, there's the blog, and having a blog is nice because you can hit SEO. The more times you can talk about SP404 or the M2 MacBook Pro or mastering and this and that, you're getting eyes on your site, meaning traffic, which could correlate to maybe they want you to master something, maybe they want to watch your YouTube videos, maybe they want to buy a song, but it's all right there and you're controlling every aspect of it.
Exactly. I think that's a really interesting point that you bring up there. Like simplicity is key. Like you say it's bare bones, but I think that's being disingenuous. I think, like, for example, if you take
imposter syndrome, probably.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I think simplicity is key, and I put it in the tips. Like, if you're going to make this, you don't want to overcomplicate it. You don't want it to have it big. You don't want to have it over flashy. You don't want it to do everything. You want it to be quick and concise, right? So I've got this coaching page here, right, which is probably one of the most important pages I've got here, right? I've got a photo of me. I've got what I can teach you. I got you what kind of a little blurb about what I'm doing, and then a contact, right? And I've got testimonies from customers, right?
Nice.
It's nothing. It's nothing. It's nothing flash. It's nothing big. It's not overly done. But what it is, it gives you everything you need in one thing. And I'm not saying that this is what you do. All I'm saying is simplicity is key. If all of these drop down menus had everything and had everything going down, then there would be a problem there. I feel there would be a problem there.
No, you got a really good point, and I think that's something I'm missing that I need to do is having the reviews or whatever you want to call it, like the quotes. That's smart. If you're doing some sort of coaching, mastering, or something like that, that's good. That's good.
For sure.
But I think the point we're trying to hammer home is you can see we both own this, like our respective domains, and we can do whatever we want on it, and it's not difficult to do this. Like, I think we both use Wix.com to design the website. It's super easy to use. If you don't know anything about coding, you just drop and drag and move things around. You don't need to know coding. If you do know coding, you can do a little extra and things like that, but it's there. There's also Squarespace, and I think there's a few others, and we had mentioned this before, but chat, people watching in the comments, if you're watching on Spotify, head to the Discord, but let us know if you want us to do kind of a sort of comparison between Squarespace, Wix, these other options, their price points, what they allow. Some, I believe, allow selling at a lower price than Wix does. Wix, you have to get that second tier to do like what I have, where you can sell merch and things like that. So if you want us to do a more in-depth comparison or a tutorial on how we design our websites, let us know. We're happy to cover it, because this is something I think, whether Bandcamp goes up, down, whatever, every artist should have a central hub that's consistent to them. Because like I found a thing, Instagram's reach went down drastically in 2023. Reels used to get, I believe, like 20,000 impressions on average. Now they get about 4,000. I saw this study that was saying like in 2023, they dropped like 16,000 impressions, over like in a general thing. So things change on social media and you can't control that, but you can drive people to your website. If Bandcamp changes, but people are following your email list, you can just send them to your website and you can sell right there. And so having the central hub, you don't have to move people there, but you can just have it as in every email you send, on every social media, just have your website. It's there, kind of like what Eon Lake was saying with having the link tree and stuff. People will know, oh, okay, like, yeah, well, if this went down, I can just go to sunwarper.com and everything's right there that I like to find from Sunwarper. David says tutorial would be nice. Yeah, so we can go through maybe next week or the week after, we can go through at least how we did it with Wix. Maybe one of us can show the back end if we're able to, or something to show some of the drop down and things like that. But
Sure.
I needed tutorials. I'm not saying like this in a condescending way. It's very easy to use once you see kind of how it works and things like that. So I would definitely recommend it. And patrons, just hit us up if you have questions. If anybody does have questions, as if they're trying to make a website or considering which ones, head to the Patreon. We'll get you in our Discord and Twitter groups, and we can help you guys out.
Sure. Frequency Control Center as well. His day job is web design. So I'm sure he's got a lot of things. He says, keep it simple.
Yeah, you got it.
He says, keep it simple, have a good content hierarchy, good navigation, not too many links, and you can't go wrong. Happy to give tips and help for anyone that needs it. Web design is my day job. I think that's a key one as well. The content hierarchy, good navigation, not too much. I'd be curious, FCC. I was talking to some web designers at work, and they were saying neutral colors and neutral tones, nothing too brash, nothing too bright, because that can skew the eye somewhat. I was curious if that's how you feel about that in that regard, if that's something that you would go for. I like I see Sunwarper's gone for the white. I've got a very dark matte black because, let's face it, that's what I like. But I'd be curious if there's any data on that, if you could share with us.
Yeah, I mean, my ethos when I was making it was keep this as simple and get it done as quick as possible, because I just wanted to have that central spot. My goal was to get the mailing list going and all that, but life had other plans, and that's fine. But the biggest thing for me is the blog. So if you have something where you want to talk about gear or your studio workings, things like that, having that blog is awesome, because like I said, SEO, it's all about that SEO for sure. And Hydro Fighter says, sounds like FCC should be a guest on the show for this subject. You're welcome to come. I know we were supposed to have you last week, but COVID had other things to say. Hopefully you're feeling better, FCC. And if you want to come on, we can schedule a date to do this. But the FCC has some on what you were saying, Curtis. This is not really. Tone and color can be your brand. Sometimes things need to stand out and be different.
Ooh. Okay, cool. That's good. All right, let's work it out. When Paul is back up on his feet, and we'll plan it out. We'll do a deep dive. We'll get some stuff. I can show under the hood of what Wix can offer. I like Wix because you're basically making two websites at once.
That's what told me. You said that, and I was like, yep. Because you can redesign and retweak the mobile one. It shows an option. Here's what it looks like on desktop. Here's what it's like on mobile, and you can just adjust things. Say hide on mobile. It's cool. Yeah,
it's great. Yeah. So, excuse me, sir. Sorry, Steve just let himself out the door. My cat can now open doors. This is like Jurassic Park. No one is safe, especially at feeding time. Anyway, that's what. Yeah, maybe we do this. Let's get Paul on and have a bit of a deep dive. There are options and there are ways to go about this, because, like we say, in this hairy fairy time of things where all things are sugar snapped and wibbly wobbly, that there could be some issues.
And hicklety picklety.
And hicklety picklety. Having your own page is great. I love my website because it's a little flag plant for Curtis. It's the only place you can see my music, my art, my coaching, and everything that I do in one place. And it's my little corner of the internet. And in this day and age where we all have little pockets of internet, but they're all attributed to something else. So it's nice to have a little thing. I don't have a blog. That's something I've been thinking about in that regard. But
SEO, man, it's all about that SEO. I have one post that's, I think, about Koala, ironically, like sample flipping, and I think it's called like my sampling workflow or something, and it gets views every day.
I get that.
SEO, man.
Let's push that through. I have just done a quick Google search of eonlake.com, and it says coming soon.
Oh, you're muted, Eon Lake. Coming soon since 1999. Let me see if I can unmute you. Yeah, there you go.
I went a bit simple with mine, a bit too simple. It says construction at the moment.
I like that.
That's all right. Do you have anything you want to add, Eon? Like we kind of blew through this.
No, I think the reasons are clear. It doesn't have to be War and Peace. It's not something that you're putting up there to entertain people for several hours. That could be everything else that you do. And you can embed content, in the short term, so that you don't have to work on every single platform and all the rest of it. But really, as long as you've got your identity there, something that you control, that's not going anywhere, the reasons are clear, and that's why I've started to do it myself. Not quite ready yet, but we're getting there.
Well, I like that you just have it there, like, hey, under construction.
I like it, yeah. And it's Squarespace as well, which is different to Wix. So I think that'd be an interesting little dichotomy there. And I think about my live streams. I think if people would come to my website to watch my live streams, that would be really nice.
That's the problem with the website, is that it's not something people frequent, like YouTube, Twitter, Instagram is a communal space that people frequent, and so being on there is wise. I think we're trying to hammer home is the fact that you just want to get people to your own place, or at least have that option that people know that it's there, so that if there's issues, or like I was saying, Instagram reach goes down, the people who do want to see you can still find you, and you control the reach of that website. That's it. But yeah, I'm with you, Curtis. I mean, I have like 1,500 subscribers on YouTube or something, and they'll watch videos and stuff, but maybe 5 to 10 go to the website, like per video or per month, a week or so, so yeah, it's very hard to get that transfer. And that's, we're all still learning. We just present you what we know so far. And then as we learn more, we give it, but together we grow. That's the whole point. And FCC says, Eon Lake is right. It's all about the music. Don't overdo things and add too much. Start simple and build on it. He's totally right. I mean, you could just start with a coming soon, or maybe add a little embed to Bandcamp, Eon Lake, so people have something in the interim. But yeah, I'm simplicity's key, like Curtis says. I think that's the way to start. And we'll hammer it, figure out the times and stuff with FCC, get him on, and we'll do I think with FCC we should do kind of like the design aspect, because I think there's a lot I know I can learn from FCC. Probably all of us can learn. And then we'll do that comparison maybe later, down the road, because Eon, like, you use Squarespace, so that's awesome. So that's 2. And then we can just look at some other ones and give everyone some good pointers of what to consider, what are the prices, what are some things and stuff like that. So yeah, I think that's it for this. Do you guys have anything else you want to add for websites? No,
not quite. Right, I think it's.
Go ahead, Curtis.
Go on.
No. I was gonna move on to something else, but you said I think, so I'm assuming there's a little bit you want to add.
Well, no, I'd be curious to see and take this discussion as ever back to the Discord, where which is, again, it's another thing which is not our server, but it's something that started small and keeps growing and growing and growing, and where has been seen more activity as of late. So I'd like to see you guys down there, and continue this discussion, sharing the tips and tricks of what you've got for your website. If you want to put your website there so we can all take a look, that'd be a great place to do it.
Yeah. So that's all of our topics for today, but I do just want to ask, because it's always good to hear, what do we got going on this week? Eon Lake. Oh, he's gone. Curtis, what do you have going on this week? I guess we pissed Eon Lake off with the coming soon.
We'll get him back. We'll come back. We'll drop him through. This week, what am I doing this week? Well, it is TEDx coming up in the next couple of days. And everything, we get going through the preliminary sound checks and all that stuff. So that will be the next couple of days till the weekend. I think after that, I got myself a MIDI merge a couple of weeks back, which I haven't had time. There he is, which I haven't had time to look at. Welcome back, sir. We thought we upset you. But yeah, so I got a MIDI merge, and I haven't.
He was like, I'm not putting Bandcamp on there, please.
Yeah. But yeah, that's me. I'm building templates and loving it. So that's where I'm at the moment. Eon, before we lose you again,
what's it giving you?
Say it again.
What's the new MIDI box giving you?
So now I can record the Nova's audio and the Mono's audio and the MIDI together, which is really nice. Not only does it free up some space and frees up my 16 channels mixer suddenly into 8, so now I've got double the amount of cells to play with, so I can maximize without maximizing. But also, if I'm recording an arpeggiator for example, I use my Nova a lot for our ARPs, right? So if I'm recording an ARP, I can then transpose that into MIDI data and then create another ARP
So
underneath
wait, did
it
you get
exactly
a
using
MIDI
the
hub like we were talking
sound.
about a while ago,
Yeah.
where you have a bunch of MIDI outs and ins in the box?
MIDI
Okay,
face.
yeah, okay. So I
Yeah.
think you said MIDI merge or something. I was like, I don't know what that is, but if it's like
Oh, I
what we were
call it.
talking about, a MIDI hub where it's
Yeah.
just to connect, you're sending MIDI and all. Yeah, okay, those are awesome,
I,
dude.
I, I like the alliteration. I call it a MIDI merge. I like it. It's cool.
Yeah, and yet none of us knew what the hell we
anyway.
were talking about.
The MIDI
MIDI
merge is
hub.
technically
Say MIDI
slightly
hub, but I like to call it MIDI merge.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I'm going. That's really nice to me because it's just a bit more it's a bit more of a flow through, and it gives me a little bit more freedom, and I'm enjoying that. Firstly, as well as that, I'm also enjoying having the Nova also as a MIDI controller because it's
Yeah.
full size keys. All right, dude.
That's
I'm
how I
having
use the
full size
Prophet
keys.
as my MIDI controller because it's nice.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't used it in like 3 weeks thanks to a
Yeah,
newborn, but you know,
exactly.
I've been using the Volca FM's little stupid
Nice.
ribbon thing. Oh my god, it's a nightmare, but
Okay.
it's something.
So yeah,
Eon,
that's
like, what have
me.
you got
Eon-
going on this week?
Right, I'm off. No, I've recently started work on a top secret new project that I'm working on with someone else. So
Ooh.
in that basically, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I've got a bunch of ideas to explore. Obviously, written up, you know where, and yeah, I've got some interesting tones going. Got some recording to do.
That's gonna be awesome. All right. That's say no more, but I want to know more. But also, I don't want to know more because I want more excitement. It's like deferred gratification. That's gonna be fun. Sunwarper, what about you?
Well, I got the Koala live stream tomorrow with the samples from our Discord. I'm very much looking forward because there's it's very different sounds that I'm gonna try to blend together. So
They're
it's
all
gonna
really
be
good,
fun.
aren't they? Yeah.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
all real. I was like, wow, I got it. That's why I'm like, I gotta try to fit all of these in. And I did say if anybody else has any other sounds they want to send over, just send them today, not tomorrow, because I need to get them in Koala and all that. But I'm happy to try to mix a few more in. But as of now, it's like 4 or 5 different things. So it should be fun. I was hoping Eon Lake would throw something in, but he never did. So I cry every night because of it. This whole week I've cried every night because I just look on that Discord channel and it's just nothing. And I'm like, I'm just trying to refresh, hoping like one moment, one refresh, it'll be like, Eon, like, here's something I made on my modular rig. And I'd be like, yeah, but no. Alas, it's
back on. Yeah.
it's not to be. But other than that, I'm very much looking forward to that. Hopefully all of you can tune in because it should be a lot of fun. But Digitact, as soon as that comes, whatever free time I have, which is very, very small, it will be dedicated to that clicky little box.
It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I'll be hitting up Eon Lake for questions and concerns with it because I think it's going to be quite a steep learning curve.
They're a bit of an interesting beast.
Yeah,
Their own thing.
Yeah, it'll be fun. We'll have to document that and see how you get on with that, Sunwarper. So yeah, thank you ever so much for people joining us at the end of another show. It's been a great show. It's been great to hang out with everyone. If you want the after show to continue, go to our Discord. Again, I keep saying it, but it's been alive the past couple of weeks, especially with the drama.
Yeah, drama and Koala news because it's not been all bad. The Koala's gotten a lot of talk as well. If anybody checks out Koala because of this demo or anything like that, or anything, if you're checking out Koala, let us know. Let us know what you're making. Put them in the Discord. We've got works in progress and stuff. If you have questions, hit me up. I gotta tell you, Koala is it's awesome. It's a lot of fun for this little. It's just right on your phone, and it's so easy to use. That's what I like. It's like so intuitive. So we'd be curious to hear from you. And then we do have to have a new patron star stream soon. I don't know if you guys are feeling this Sunday or next Sunday. But we are due for a star stream, so we'll talk about it in the patron chat. But patrons, keep your eyes open for that. Keep your eyes up, heads up. But something will be coming soon. We hope to see you all there, and we are posting those. If you missed them, they are on YouTube, patrons, so you can head there unlisted for the patrons. You can find them on patreon.com/audionautic. Yeah, I think that's it. Anything before we go, guys?
Love to the patrons. Love to the listeners. Thanks for
Yeah,
spending
Curtis?
time.
It's been wonderful to chat with you. Thank you ever so much. Looking forward to seeing you next week. Have a great week. And yeah, keep playing and mixing and sharing because everything is awesome.
Yeah, and if you need some musical inspirations, you can check out the Audionautic Radio playlist. I know I keep saying it the last few weeks. It's been busy, but I have a full, I think it's 30-song rotation incoming. But the latest in independent and chill electronic music, if you've got some music you want on the playlist, we just hit like 540 followers or something. So it keeps growing despite my lack of updates in the last few weeks. But a big one's coming, I promise. But there's a lot of great music on there. I'm trying to get all of our patrons on there in the next rotation and all that. But if you've got music you want to submit, just put it in the Discord. We've got a channel for the Audionautic playlist, but you can find the link in the description. And before we go, David says, great show. We appreciate it, David. Always happy to have you here. If you ever want to hop on again, let us know. And then FCC says, nice one, guys. We appreciate it, FCC. Hope to see you on the show soon so we can talk about this. But yeah, we'll be back next week, Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific. And I'm going to guess, because I'm blanking, 7 p.m. UTC.
Very good.
Yeah. Okay. I'm getting it. I think it's because I'm in such a time warp where I go to sleep at like 8 p.m. some nights, go to sleep at 1 a.m. some day. Like, the time is irrelevant, right? But anyways, we'll be back next week. Thanks for watching.